Well, happy Friday, guys. And today I am making bread. So I am back to baking our own bread now that the temperature has finally fallen here in Michigan. In fact, tonight I think we're having our first hard freeze. I have been baking about 2 loaves a week. So I usually bake one on Monday or Tuesday, and that gets us through the week with the young kids, and then I bake usually on Friday, which will get us through the weekend, whether it be sandwiches, French toast, whatever. And I have been using this one new recipe. I've been using it for a couple of weeks now, and I absolutely love it. Now, it's called, and it comes from a book called Farm Journal's Homemade Breads. This was gifted to me by my really good friend Paul. He actually just started a YouTube channel called Paul's Rule of Thumb. I'm going to leave a card up above for you guys to click on. I'll also leave his link down below. You can check out his channel. Go subscribe to him. Tell him Kneady sent you. You guys are going to love his channel. He is one of my very close friends. In fact, he's staying with us over the holidays. And he gifted me this book. Now, it's a vintage book. I believe this one was from 1978. Nope, this one's from 1985. So you can still get these books. I know they are still available on Amazon. Maybe you could check it out at the library or used book sale or something like that. You can still get them. They're just a little bit harder to find. And I am in love with this book. I have tried several recipes in this book so far, and I have loved all of them. But the rich white bread has been my favorite for sandwich bread. So I'm going to make it today for you as they have it. I have altered it a little bit because I don't use milk in my bread recipes because milk has an enzyme in it that can kill your yeast. So I use powdered milk. So I have altered it a little bit. I've also added on for making a cinnamon raisin bread where I add honey, cinnamon raisins, and vanilla to it. I also make this bread usually with a cup or 2 of whole wheat flour. So there, you can take this basic recipe and tweak it to the way you and your family like it. That's what I love about this bread recipe. But today we're just going to make it rich white bread to give you the basic of the loaf. And then from there, you can kind of turn it into anything that you want. So since I'm baking bread today, I thought I would turn on the camera and take you guys along with me. And so, yeah, let's get over to my mixer. All right, so this recipe calls for 1.5 cups of milk. Now, if you're going to use milk, like whole milk, I would suggest you go ahead and warm it up and then cool it down. You want to make sure you kill that enzyme in there. Because I don't have the patience for that or the time, what I'm doing is I'm altering that part of the recipe. So I am adding 1.5 cups of warm water, and then to that I'm going to add 1/2 cup of powdered milk or milk powder, okay? And that's going to be the equivalent of 1.5 cups of milk for me. Add 2 tablespoons of yeast. I go ahead and I keep my yeast in my freezer so it lasts longer. And then to this, we're also going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. Now, if you guys are interested in seeing, I'm going to make the white bread today because this is a great base recipe. But if you want to see the altered recipe of the whole wheat flour with the local honey that I use, because I make this bread in a honey whole wheat bread, let me know and I'll make you a video on how I make our regular sandwich bread. But for now, we're going with the white. So go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of sugar in there. You can also use honey if you'd prefer honey. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add 2 cups of I'm going to just use all-purpose flour today, but normally, I mean, I would probably use more of a bread flour, but we're going to add 2 cups into there. We are also going to add 2 tablespoons of softened butter. plop that in there. And then I'm also going to add a teaspoon and a half of sea salt. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add 2 eggs to this. And this is what makes it rich. And it'll make it really soft too. So, all right, now I'm just going to go ahead and crank that up. And then we're going to start mixing it. We're going to add a total of between 5 and 6 cups of flour to this. We have 2 cups right now. We're just going to get this blended, and then I will slowly start adding the flour to it. So here we go. You're done kneading it, and this is what you want to see for any newbies out there. You want to see a nice clean bowl. And now we're gonna go ahead and pull this out and form it into a dough ball and let it rise. What I do is I just add just a little bit of flour, not much, just so it doesn't stick it all to my counter. I'm gonna pop this off. And go ahead and knead this into a nice dough ball. Once I know it's not going to stick to my counter, I don't need that extra flour. Okay, so you just go ahead and form that into a nice dough ball. And then we're going to take the same, if you don't need your mixer bowl, what I do is I take some olive oil and just squirt the bottom of my bowl, and then upside down I spin it around, and then I flip it, and there you have it. And that's it. Now this first rise is going to be for an hour. It's got to go somewhere warm. So if you're using your oven or warming up your oven, it's kind of early to warm up your oven to bake bread, but just in case you're baking something else, you can put it on top of your stove. I like to place it under a light. I also like to use my dehydrator. If I have my dehydrator out and I've been using it and it's out on my counter, I'll use that. Otherwise, I just put it under my little lamp that I have sitting on my counter for extra light when it's dark out. And you're gonna cover it with a towel. I'm using a flour sack towel that I actually got from Grove Collaborative. I love them. If you bake bread, these are a perfect size. I usually get my flour sack towels from Bed Bath & Beyond, but they're so big, they like take over my counter. These are the perfect size for bread baking. So I'll leave my link to Grove down below if you haven't checked them out yet, but I've been loving them. I've been buying from them now for I think 4 months and absolutely love them. I actually have a diffuser coming. I think it's coming today. Fingers crossed. Yeah, check out the flour sack towels because they're really, really nice. All right, so there we have it. So my bread is just going to sit there for an hour. I'm going to set the timer. If I can find my timer. Here it is. Until it's doubled in size. And and then we'll come back and I will punch it down and we will let this rise a second time. This dough takes a little bit longer to rise, but trust me, it's well worth it. It makes the perfect sandwich bread. So I will see you guys back here in an hour. My kiddos might be awake by then. We'll see. It's still pretty early. So, all right, guys, see you in a little bit. So, our dough is beautiful and happy. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and punch it down and deflate it. Get all the air out. And go back and press out all the air. And then I'm going to pull it back up into a dough ball here. Okay. I'm just going to add a little bit more oil. And then we're going to go ahead and add it right back to the bowl again. Spin it around, flip it, and then we're going to cover it back up again for about another half hour. We're going to let this rise again. So I'll see you back in a half hour. So it's been a half hour, and now we are going to go ahead and deflate a second time. Now this loaf this bread dough makes 2 loaves. So I, however, am going to be making 1 loaf in the Pullman pan and 1 loaf in my cast iron pan. So, get all the air bubbles out here. Just kind of push down all of the little air pockets in there. And then we go ahead and because I have the big Pullman pan, is the 13-inch pan. So because it's a little on the bigger side, I'm going to do 2/3 of this in my Pullman and 1/3 of this in my cast iron. So I am just going to cut 1/3 of this off. Okay. And then on this, I'm going to kind of get my Pullman pan here, and I always like to spread this out the length of the pan. Okay, and then rolling tight, as tight as you can get it. Makes a really good even crumb that way. Roll that up. Pinch the seam. Poke the ends in. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and put it in our Pullman pan. And of course, my battery had to die. So, all right, we're back. Let's see if I can balance you. All right, so back to the Pullman pan. I press it down nice and even. It just gives me, in my opinion, a better even loaf. Okay, and then once you have it in your pan, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the lid on, and we're going to let this sit and rise for 30 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on how long it needs. I'm going to put that right on top of my oven as it's heating up, and then we've got the cast iron. Now the cast iron I have coated with some lard. I'm also going to get some cornmeal, And I'm going to coat the bottom of my pan for this one. And then I'm just going to kind of spread that around. All right, so then we're going to go ahead and kind of roll this up. Okay, then once you have this little guy rolled, I'm going to put him in a pan, and I'm just going to press down and fill out the pan to the edges. Okay, and then once you have that done, I'm going to go ahead and put the flour sack towel back over that, and then I'm going to leave this under the light, and then I'm going to set this to 45 minutes. I will check on it a little bit sooner than that, just in case it rises sooner. We do have the heat on, so my kitchen is nice and warm. The oven's going to be going, so it's warm in here. It's a bit humid, so my dough is pretty happy. So we will come back and check it in about a half hour, 40 minutes, see how it goes. But I want this to at least double in size along with the Pullman pan. So I will see you guys back in 45 minutes, and then we'll get these in the oven. I'm preheating my oven to 400 degrees. So this will be baking between 30 and 40 minutes. And I'll be seeing you back in about 45 minutes or 1 second YouTube time. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes. But my dough has doubled in size, and it's all the way filled in the Pullman pan. And this has doubled in size, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add this right into my oven, 400 degrees. We're going to bake it for anywhere between 30 and 40 minutes. And I'm going to add really quickly to this one just a little bit of egg. I'm going to give it an egg wash. Okay, so I've got 1 beaten egg here with about a teaspoon of water added to it. And this is just going to give it a really nice golden brown top. I'm also just going to put a little bit of oat on the top of it just to make it look prettier. I really like adding the oat to my wheat bread. But we can add it to white too. So once you get that covered, I'm using some steel cut oats. I'm just going to sprinkle that right on top. Now sometimes I like to put everything bagel topping on my bread. It makes a really good piece of toast in the morning. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and add this right into the oven, 400 degrees for 30 to 40 minutes. I'll keep an eye on it, and I will bring you guys back when I bring it out of the oven. All right, so now let's pull these beauties from the oven. There is our loaf bread in the cast iron. You can see this. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. And now we have fresh bread for sandwiches for this weekend. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to plop these out onto some cooling racks and put them up on the breakfast bar, where I will let them sit for an hour or two, and I'll bring you back and show you what they look like. There it is. There's the Pullman pan, and then this is the loaf pan, which is beautiful. I did add just a little bit of butter on the top of this to keep the crust nice and soft when it comes time to make it for sandwiches, but there you have it. So, super easy, really good. I'm probably not going to cut these open until tomorrow when we need them for lunches. But I will insert a picture here for you if I can of the crumb of the inside of that bread in comparison to a store-bought loaf, which is on the left-hand side, and my homemade bread on the right-hand side. And as you can see, the crumb is beautiful. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this helped you out for anybody who is baking bread and interested in baking bread for your family. Again, I got this recipe out of the Farm Journal's Homemade Bread book, and it is the recipe for rich white bread. Page 135 if you have the same book as I do. So I hope that is helpful to you. If you have any questions, you can leave them below for me. But this is the bread that I've been making on a regular basis. Again, I just tweak it a little bit. I add some whole wheat to it. I also use honey instead of the sugar. I also have been making a cinnamon raisin bread where I add some cinnamon and some raisins and some vanilla to it. So you can really play around with this and make it any way that your family enjoys it. So again, go check out my friend Paul and his new channel. Tell him that Kneady sent you. He just made a bread recipe video using cottage cheese and dill, and it's phenomenal. I'm gonna leave the link up above. You guys go check out that video. I'm going to buy the ingredients that I need to make that bread, and I'm gonna try to make it maybe this weekend because it looked amazing and it's just so intriguing. I have to give it a try. So check out his video, go subscribe to him, and I'm so excited that he finally has a YouTube channel. So you guys will really enjoy him. So I hope you liked this video, and I'll be seeing you guys soon, I'm sure. All right, bye guys. We have to go homeschool now. Enough playing in the kitchen, Heather.